Hello everyone, welcome to today's deck profile. Today we are doing the S-Force archetype. This is an archetype based around multiple different types of monsters, anything from warriors, cybers, and even some psychic, that lock down your opponent's monsters depending on which zone they're in. Without further ado, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's hop on into it. Starting off, we play 3 copies of S-Force Retroactive. Retroactive is a level 1 with 0 attack and defense. Warrior, meaning you can search it off of both Rhoda and Perirized map, as well as 1-for-1. If a monster you controlled but uses link material for an S-Force monster, you can use this card in your hand as link material. They currently only have 1 link monster, which is Justify. They have a new one coming out that's a link 1, which is okay, I guess. It also has the effect that during the main phase, you can return this card to your hand to special summon an S-Force from your hand with a higher level. So effectively anything that's not another level 1, which they don't have in the archetype. Also, if an S-Force would banish a card from your hand to activate its effect, you can banish this card from your grave instead. Really great card overall. I would say it's probably one of the best cards in the archetype. Has so much use, so much availability in the archetype. Definitely a 3 of. Next up, we do play 3 copies of S-Force Rapichimaru. So level 2 warrior monster that says each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters can only target that monster for attacks. This card works really great with the new Link 1 coming out. Effectively, if you have this on the field and the Link 1, your opponent cannot attack, because the Link 1 says that your opponent can't attack any monsters that are in the same column, meaning that they just can't attack at all. It also has the effect that once per turn, you can banish an S-Force from your hand, return this card to your hand, special an S-Force from your deck. Really great. This allows you to grab your powerhouses, like your Gravitino or Lamplacewell from deck, to really get a good push in for your opponent. Next up, we'll play 3 copies of Professor Digamma. When he is no longer special summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls and change its battle position. Any monster in the same column as an S-Force monster cannot change its battle position. He's not the greatest. He is only in here because you can get him off of E-Telly and use him as free link fodder. That's it. Otherwise, he doesn't really provide too much help in the deck other than being an S-Force name. Next up, we play 3 copies of S-Force Edge Razor. Each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as an S-Force monster cannot be used as material for a Link 3 or higher monster. This can kind of shut off access code lines, but nothing else. Maybe Apo, but it's not too useful because they can just start moving their Link monsters into different zones. And when it's normally special summoned, you can special summon an S-Force from your hand in attack position. It's a great way to get Link fodder onto your side of the field, which will definitely allow you to get into your boss monster, Justify. For the last of the 3 ofs, we play 3 dog tag. During the main phase, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters in the same column as an S-Force monster. It also has the effect that if your opponent normally special summons a monster to the while you control an S-Force monster, you can special summon dog tag. It pretty much gives you a negate during your opponent's turn. It's very limited, but it's a great way to not only get a body on board, but turn multiple zones into negates. We then play 2 copies of Gravitino. This card has the ability that when all monsters in the same column as an S-Force monster are banished instead of being when it leaves the field. So this kind of gives you a macro on your field, which is really good. And when it's no longer special summoned, you get to add an S-Force monster from your deck to your hand. So Gravitino is a great way to kind of get your board set up and ready. We then play one copy of One Placewell. This is kind of your game ender. If this card is special summon, target an S-Force in your grave, special summon it. You can banish an S-Force card from your hand to destroy all monsters in the same column as an S-Force monster. So he can clear the field and then help you kind of punch in for game, which is definitely something this deck needs when it comes to finding lethal. Finally, we do play one Aura Fist. Your opponent cannot target any of their monsters in the same column as your S-Force monster with effect, which isn't great. When your opponent's monster activates an effect, quick effect, banish an S-Force monster from your hand to banish. So it is a destruction for your opponent's monster, but it doesn't have too much use. It's definitely a strong one of. Moving on to the spells, we do play 3 copies of S-Force Bridgehead. When it's activated, you can add an S-Force monster from your deck to your hand. If an S-Force in the same column as an opponent's monster is being attacked, you can make that monster you control unable to be destroyed by that battle. So if you have Rapture Maro on board, and they have to attack the same column, this will protect your monster once. It's not the greatest, but it is a soldier. 3 copies of S-Force Showdown. It has one of 2 effects you can activate. The first will special summon an S-Force from your hand in defense position. The other will add an S-Force from grave to hand. It's a free special summon at worst. It's a monster reincarnation at best. It's an okay card. It gives you consistency. Next, we do play 3 E-Telly. It gets you your S-Force de Gamma, which is free bodies for a Link summon, or a Tribute summon if you happen to have Gravitino or One Placewell. We do play 3 Periodize Map. This can grab your Retroactive from deck, and then you can immediately normal summon it, bounce it to hand, to special another one, and continue on with your combos. Play 1 Rhoda. This will grab your Rapichimaru. 1 Terraforming. Grab the field spell. 1 1-for-1 to get that retroactive. For traps, we play 3 copies of S-Force Chase. Target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of S-Force monsters you control with different names. Return those cards to the hand. If an S-Force would banish a card from your hand to activate its effect, you can banish this from the grave instead. This is a great card going first to make sure your opponent gets a little bit of interruption, something the deck doesn't have too much of. Plus, it gives you that free banish. Finally, we do play 3 copies of S-Force Specimen. If your opponent controls a monster, target an S-Force monster that is banished or in your graveyard, special summon it to your field in the same column as an opponent's monster. You can banish this from your grave to move an S-Force. So it does give you that kind of ability to lock down more zones. And finally, so S-Force Justify takes 3 effect monsters, including an S-Force monster. Has 3 arrows, all of which are pointing up. You cannot special summon monsters to zones this card points to, so you can't kaiju into a zone is the main reason they have that there. Quick effect, you can target 1 face-up effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. Then move that target to a zone this card points to. At the beginning of the damage step, if this card attacks, banish all monsters it points to. So it's a negate as well as removal. Very specific removal, but removal nonetheless. So definitely an interesting card, and it does take a lot to get to Justify. So let me hop over and show you a cool combo you can do with the deck. So here's just a basic one. If you happen to open both Retroactive and Rapichimaru, you can, or Periodize Map for Retroactive, you can normal Retroactive, bounce it to hand, special to Rapichimaru, activate the effect of Rapichimaru to banish another S-Force from hand, and then bounce Rapichimaru to your hand. This will special summon S-Force Gravitino from deck, and S-Force Gravitino will then grab the S-Force Showdown. You can then activate Showdown, special Rapichimaru, and then link using these 2 and the retroactive in your hand to give you your turn 1 Justify. That's just a very quick, easy way to get to S-Force Justify. There are other ways, like getting your Edge Razor, summoning it, summoning something else, summoning or using Retroactive. There are many ways to get to Justify, and I could sit here for an hour showing you different ways to summon 2 to 3 monsters to your board, but that's just the main combos. If you want to go first, getting Justify or a Gravitino plus something else on board, so that way you can just start locking down your opponent's zones. But yeah, that is the deck. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the next one.